Who are we? We are the Philippine Retailers Association, the pulse and voice of Philippine retail, recognized as a national organization of retailers and suppliers in the country. The PRA membership represents nearly 80% of the retail industry, which counts all major players like SM, Robinsons, Ayala Malls, Rustan's, Araneta Center, Bench, Mercury Drug, Pen Shop, Wilcon Depot, and more. So why join PRA? It is our goal to get your business in the right track, and to make this possible, the PRA offers exclusive privileges that will surely add value to your membership. PRA members in good standing can enjoy exclusive discounts for their music licensing under PhilSCAP, which is required by the law in compliance with the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. As a pulse and voice of retail, we represent your interests on issues confronting the industry, such as bills on the further liberalization of the retail trade, music copyright issue, contractualization, use of thermal POS printers, price tag law, among others. As a member, you can take advantage of special rates and discounts for various educational programs and projects we regularly conduct to help you advance and develop your skills and competencies and help your business grow. There are seminars, conferences, and expos, high-level and exclusive meetings, which will give you infinite opportunities for the growth and development of your business. As part of our commitment to also help retailers in the regions have access to our educational programs, we conduct regional roadshows all over the country. The PRA also conducts a 2-day career expo, which seeks to generate continuous source of qualified candidates for various levels and positions in the retail business. It is strategically held in malls to help generate increased foot traffic and correspondingly help increase sales for the retailers. PRA members enjoy exclusive privileges through the PRA BizCard, a unique program which offers members exclusive discounts, special offers, and other offerings from associate members and other suppliers. At the same time, it also allows a business-to-business transaction between regular and associate members, which is mutually beneficial for both parties, where trust and loyalty can be established. And since we want to add more value to your membership, we are offering the PRA Premier Members Card, a rewards program to serve and incentivize all members who are actively participating in PRA events and programs. We encourage and recognize Filipino retailers who have epitomized the model of success in terms of growth and good ethical best practices through the Outstanding Filipino Retailers and Shopping Center of the Year Awards, or OFRC. To support members in their employee recognition programs, the PRA spearheaded the Retail Employees Day program for the Philippines, which is celebrated every December 12. With the support of all members of the PRA, we recognize and celebrate retail employees for their role in the retail business. You have exclusive access to information and publications for industry development available in the PRA library. Through your membership in the PRA, we can help grow your network and access to local international networks through our affiliations with large influential business organizations locally and globally, like the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, the Federation of Asia-Pacific Retailers Association, the Federation of International Retail Associations, and the National Retail Federation, the world's largest retail organization. Such networks provide unlimited benefits of being connected to the local and global world of business and retail. So, who can be a member? All retailers in all formats, shopping centers, as well as suppliers of products and services to the retail industry are encouraged to join and be a part of the PRA community. How to become a PRA member? We have 3 types of membership to cater to your needs. There's a regular membership for those who are directly involved in the retail business. Associate membership for corporations or entities engaged in the business of supplying products or services to retailers. And chapter members who are any organized group of retailers doing business in the Philippines. Being a member of the PRA will give your company endless possibilities and opportunities to give your company what it needs to grow, expand, prosper, and become globally competitive. Because at PRA, our only business is helping your business grow.
What makes a great place to work? A good place to work offers all the coffee you can drink. A great place to work is where you can share a coffee moment with your colleagues. A good place to work tells you all about their culture. A great place to work lets you co-create it. A good place to work has diversity policies. A great place to work makes you feel you belong. A good place to work puts the customer first. A great place to work puts its people first. A good place to work provides medical benefits. A great place to work supports and cares for your whole self. A good place to work has managers who acknowledge your achievements. A great place to work has leaders who have your back. A good place to work gives you a job description and competitive pay. A great place to work is where you find meaning and purpose. A good place to work produces good results for the company. A great place to work brings out the greatness in you. So why settle for good when you can go for great?
Dearest God, you alone are worthy of honor, glory, and praise. With you, we can overcome every storm, including the global impact COVID-19 is having on our world. We pray to you, God of mercy, for all who are suffering directly and indirectly during this global pandemic. May you sustain, console, and heal them. We pray to you, God of grace, for all good efforts to rescue life and to maintain people's health. Thank you for the untiring dedication and hard work of our health workers and retail frontliners. May you strengthen, guide, and protect all, especially those who have committed to fight against this disease. We pray to you, God of righteousness, for justice to prevail. Give our leaders extra wisdom as they navigate this pandemic and economic uncertainty. Calm our fears. Fill us with your hope, joy, and peace as we continue to trust in you. Come, Lord Jesus, come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, good day. Welcome to the 42nd PRA Virtual Learning Series. 42nd, that's a lot in 18 months. And for today, we're going to be talking about employee relations, making your office the best place to work. Okay, I'm Jesena. I'm from the Shangri-La Plaza. And are you ready for Level 4, Season 1? But that's for tomorrow. Let's focus on employer branding for this afternoon. Okay, what's employer branding? This is getting a lot of traction now, especially in the social media. Okay, many years ago, when you want to work, my generation and the Gen Xers, we were looking at the Manila Bulletin classified ads. Okay, and we just worked on what we apply, and people will give us references and give us ideas of where to work. Now, studies have shown that 75% of employees identify a company's reputation as a key consideration, okay, for exploring new career opportunities. And there are many ways to get to know a company. Aside from social media, there's also LinkedIn, okay? There's also reviews from current employees, okay? So positive employer branding helps to attract and retain quality employees who are crucial to the success and growth of the business, especially during disruptive times such as we have now. So stick with us this afternoon and find out today the trends that you should look forward to help you create a strong employer brand for your business. Now, big or small, based on my technical rehearsal, there is something to learn. All right, now, let me just say thank you to those who have made this 42nd virtual learning series possible. Okay, this is in partnership with Great Place to Work Philippines, the global authority on workplace culture. It is sponsored by Globe Business. Globe Business is the NARCE Premium Platinum sponsor. Basava Consultancy Inc. is the NARCE's official IT consultant, and the Philippine Star, our official newspaper. Now, if you still have friends or colleagues who you think should listen to this, invite them now. Tell them to just click the link, okay, and they can be able to join us on Zoom. So join this conversation of thought leaders. Now, you have questions, please put it in the chat box so we can read it later. Let me bring in now our guest speaker and our panelists. Now, Great Place to Work Philippines recently published the Philippines Best Workplaces 2021. Very interesting, 75 pages, very insightful. I had to read it to prepare for this webinar. So you scan the QR code to download the report or check out the link via Zoom chat to know more about the mission. There's a QR code, scan it. It's worth going through. Lots of insights, okay? Lots of discernment that can happen, especially for those who are decision makers when it comes to employee engagement. Okay, so get to know Great Place to Work Philippines and what their mission is to build a better world by helping organizations become great places to work for all. Okay, let me call in our speaker for today. There's her profile. She's the managing partner. She's the managing partner for Great Place to Work Philippines and the lead consultant for Great Place to Work Singapore, where she's privileged to have the opportunity to enrich the lives of thousands of people by building great places to work for all that goes beyond creating a positive impact in business performance. She has close to 2 decades of close partnership with some Singapore government agencies, SMEs, MNCs, and Fortune 100 companies across industries, geographies. So very global perspective for this lady. She's worked with the National World's Best Workplaces. That's a survey they do. Antoniette Mendoza-Talosig, also known as Toni, has extensive knowledge of best people practices in creating high-trust, high-performance culture for her clients. Ladies and gentlemen, straight from Singapore, Miss Antoniette Toni Mendoza-Talosig. Hi, Toni.
Hello, hi CJ. Thank you for that intro.
Then I will introduce also a panelist is joining us, a retailer, to join us later in the fireside chat. Let me introduce in advance. He's the head of human resources at the Primer Group of Companies, has over 27 years of combined experience in telecoms, oil and gas, retail banking, and IT. His experience spans various industries, including leadership development, cultural transformation, strategic planning, talent management, product management, training, design, development, delivery and sales, and marketing. On top of all of that, he's a certified facilitator of Franklin Covey Philippines, certified learning coach, and a certified Gallup Strengths coach. Wow. May K, as they would say. All right, let's welcome Dr. Alex Salud, also known as Dr. A. Alex, Dr. A.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi. We'll see you again later, Alex. You come back and you will be doing a reaction to Toni's presentation. All right. Let's call in Toni now to do her presentation, and I'll see you back later after the presentation. Toni, your floor.
Thank you. Thanks, CJ. And hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, I always love to start by sharing our social mission. I know CJ mentioned it a while ago, but let me just repeat it. At Great Place to Work, we do have a social mission, and it is to build a better world by helping organizations become great places to work for all. And we take this seriously. It is something that I personally take pride on. If you ask any Great Place to Work employees anywhere in the world, why do we do what we are doing? It is because of this. Like, we find a sense of purpose in helping organizations to create and celebrate their wonderful workplace cultures. Great Place to Work, we do have a rigorous methodology. We gather and evaluate employees' high-performance culture. We have presence in 97 countries. So in a way, you can practically say that we have surveyed the world. And that is why we are called the global authority on workplace culture and the gold standard of recognition. After over 30 years of building great workplaces somewhere else in the world, we have finally set foot in the Philippines in mid-2019. To me personally, it is a big honor that for 2 years now, my team and I get to work with many Philippine-based companies in working together with them in creating a better workplace experience for their employees, and also recognizing them with a gold standard of recognition for the many great things that they're doing for their people. And our mission, remains the same. We aspire to create great places to work for all Filipinos. And so in March, just this year in March, we announced the top 10 companies in the Philippines Best Workplaces 2021 list. And these are the companies that made it on the list, the logos that you can see on the screen. We are very happy and proud about this because in our inaugural 2020 list, we were able to announce 5 companies. So imagine in just 1 year, the numbers doubled. And the great thing is that this year we are seeing even more companies coming to us, saying that, we want to do better for our people. And they also want to be assessed and find out how can we be a great place to work. So for me, this shows that there is growing awareness in the importance of creating a high trust workplace culture for the Philippines, in the Philippines. And the Pinoy pride continues because just July of this year, Great Place to Work announced the 2021 Asia's Best Workplaces list. And there are 9 companies that made it, Philippine-based companies that made it in Asia's Best Workplaces. So you can see Canva Philippines was named #1 in Best Small and Medium Business category. DHL Express is named #1 amongst the 30 best multinational companies, and DHL Express Philippines is included there. And there are 7 other Philippine-based companies. So as I share this, right, I hope that this also stirs up that sense of Pinoy pride amongst you, because there are best companies that can, in our country, that can compare with the best in the region. And hopefully one day we'd also be named one of the best in the world. It is important for me to start with the slides and introduce a Great Place to Work is because in the succeeding slides, while I'll be talking about employer branding, I'll be sharing a lot of fresh insights and a lot of data. So I want to start by building that credibility, that the numbers that you will see, the data that you will see, it came out from a robust study, which we've been doing year on year, not just in the Philippines, but globally. So that's why it was important for me to establish who Great Place to Work is. But of course, for the purpose of this session in the next 1 hour, I want to answer the question, what is an employer brand, right? Like, should it matter to us? I know a number of you joining us right now are retailers, and some of you may even be, a part of a small business, like less than 100 employees in your organization. And you might be wondering, should this even matter to us, right? Like, especially right now, at the midst of a pandemic, why is employer brand important? And then for some of you, probably you are convinced in the importance of an employer brand. And your question now is that, so I am convinced, I believe this, but I don't know where to start. How can I create an employer brand that will stand out from the rest? And I hope that I'll be able to answer these questions throughout the next hour. And of course, just like what CJ said, if you do have any questions for us, feel free to send it via chat and we'll answer your question. So employer brand. What is an employer brand? I want to attempt to answer this by focusing first on what a brand is, right? Because I'm sure all of us would know a brand and we would have our own favorite brands. I did a bit of research and found out that these are the top brands in technology right now. Everyone would know Google. Gone are the days that we carry huge encyclopedias. Like if you're in my generation, you would have those thick encyclopedias in your home. But right now, you can just go Google everything. Apple is also another popular tech brand, and of course, Zoom. We all know Zoom now. We are in fact using Zoom at this moment to connect with each other virtually. But who would have known what Zoom is 4 years ago, right? Pre-pandemic. And then there are top brands in entertainment. Spotify, Netflix, which I think we've been using so much more now that we're very limited on where we can go and what we can do given the pandemic. And of course, Nintendo, Switch, things that we use to entertain ourselves. And then, of course, there are top Filipino brands that are known worldwide. Like anywhere you go, those who miss traveling, or those who speak with friends who are not Filipinos, like they would most probably know what San Miguel beer is, and they would know it's a Filipino beer. And of course, Jollibee. But brand is not just a consumer brand. It could also be your personal brand. Like Lea Salonga is known globally for her talent. So these are examples of brands that we can easily resonate with. And companies regularly focus on their consumer brands to enhance how their products and services are perceived by customers. But right now, there is a growing appreciation, a growing awareness that the same level of attention that we put into our consumer brand is also needed in building a strong employer brand so that we can competitively compete in the job market. So what is now an employer brand? Simply put, an employer brand is your employer reputation. It is your reputation as an employer for your employees. And right now, in this age of social media, one's reputation goes out very fast, right? Like it just speeds up. And it's not just confined within the room or within a country. It just goes very fast. So you might be sitting there thinking that, you have not even started building your employer brand yet. But the truth is, you already have an employer reputation, right? What do your employees tell their friends and families when they meet after work? And right now that almost everyone's working from home, what do the family see when you're working from home? Do your son, your daughter, aspire to be on your shoes, when they start working because they like the experience that they're seeing that you have as they observe you working from home? So this kind of things, you already have it. And your employer brand is also your employer identity, right? Again, just because you don't have an employer brand clearly articulated, it also does not mean that you don't have an employer identity yet. Because basically, this is what you offer your new hires. Like if you're giving a job offer, that's what they are joining you for. And it is the actual experience that your employees have in your organization day in and day out. So, simply put, that is what we define an employer brand. And it is a key component of what we call an employer value proposition, or what you offer your employees in exchange for the services or experience, talents, and skills that they produce in your organization. So now, Knowing what an employer brand is, the next question is, why is it important? Why do I need to build an employer brand? There are a number of articles and researches made around this, showing the benefits of an employer brand. And what you see on the screen are some of the top 5. So positive employer branding, it actually helps attract and retain employees who are crucial in the success of your business. And a strong employer brand is one wherein your employees themselves become your brand ambassador, your brand champion. And all of this would result to financial gains for your business. It will help your business grow. So if this doesn't convince you yet, allow me to share and elaborate more on each of these points based on the research and study that we are doing at Great Place to Work. So one is employee retention. So every year, just like what Cesar shared earlier, we produce what we call an insights report. And in 2021 insights report, we found that the Philippines' best workplaces, those 10 companies that I shared with you earlier, 9 in every 10 of their employees, they say that I want to continue working in this organization for a long time. So that speaks a lot when it comes to employee retention. If you see the chart, that is versus 82% of organizations that did not make it on that list. And then of course, employee talent attraction. Research shows that 75% of job seekers consider an employer brand before applying. So if you're a Gen Xer like me, you would know that the recruitment process right now is totally different from how it was many years ago. Wherein in my time, I only had Manila Bulletin every Sunday given to me by my dad for me to look for a job when I just graduated from college. But now, because of social media, your candidates know a lot about your company, even way before you have your first interaction with that potential candidate. So this means that an employer brand is now more significantly important, just like your consumer brand. The good news here is that for companies who are very intentional in building their employer brand, this would benefit you because your potential candidates would have already read a lot about you, and there will be the ones knocking on your door even before you have a vacancy available. And it's not just about the candidates, it's also the recruiters. What we find in the study is that 59% of recruiters, recruiting leaders, so these are talent acquisition leaders, they want to invest more in brand. So even the clients that we speak with, and they say that we need this, for us to be able to attract very good candidates, we need to have a strong employer brand because the talent market is becoming more and more competitive. Research also shows that more and more headhunters or recruitment agencies are more particular about the clients that they work with. Some would be very picky and want to work with clients that have, a strong employer brand, because of course that would help them achieve their goal of closing a vacancy. So it's not just about the candidates, but it's also about the recruiters who are working for you. And what we find is that in best workplaces, we receive 250 times more job applications than other organizations. Again, these are companies that are very intentional in building their employer brand. Talent retention, talent attraction. But we don't just want employees to stay, right? Like we want them to go the extra mile and we want them to be engaged while working for our organization. And it's the same. 9 in every 10 of Philippines' best workplace employees say that I look forward to coming to work here, right? And studies show that engaged employees are more productive, they're more innovative, and they work like business owners. They would go the extra mile to deliver outstanding results. They are more tuned into work. So, these are some of the things that we are seeing that best workplaces or companies that are intentional in building their employer brand are able to enjoy. One case in point is Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro is the world's largest wholesale technology distributor and a global leader in IT supply chain, mobile device, life cycle services, and logistics solutions. Their Manila Global Business Services Center in Taguig was established in 2009, and it is home to 2,600 employees. I had a privilege to host a webinar where Sam White, the HR director of Ingram Micro Philippines, shared that upon being named as Great Place to Work certified and one of Philippines' best workplaces, they received 40% more applicants in their specialized job positions, right? And these are positions that are difficult to fill. And when they asked the candidates, why do you want to join Ingram Micro? And 100% of these candidates said that they want to be a part of a great workplace. And it's not just that. Sam also went beyond that and asked even the recruiter to work for them. And they also said that employee candidates would refer back to Ingram Micro being a great place to work as the main reason on why they want to be a part of that organization. So ultimately, what we want to happen is that we want your employees to be your brand ambassador. And that is also something that great workplaces enjoy. 9 in every 10 employees of Philippines' best workplaces, they say that I will strongly endorse my company to friends and families as a great place to work. And why is this important? Why does this even matter when I can just hire a recruiter, right? Besides the financial savings that this would bring you, it's also because your employees are the ones who are fully immersed in your business. So if there's someone who would know what you require in your business, and if there's someone who would know what kind of people would fit in your culture, it would be your employees because they are fully immersed there. So in a way, they are effective filters in your candidate search. And having your employees as a brand ambassador, what we also seen is that employee referral programs at best workplaces is 3 times more effective than in other organizations. Okay, and so again, all of this would result to better cost per hire for you, because what we've also found is that the cost of hiring or replacing a talent is equivalent to 6 to 9 months salary of the employee who you're replacing. So that's a lot of savings if you have a great workplace wherein you're able to retain your talent and also having employees who are your brand ambassadors. Okay, so these are the reasons. These are the things that we are seeing, not just based on research, but also personally conversing with some of the leaders of great workplaces in the Philippines. Right now, having established what employer brand is and why is it important for you to build a strong employer brand, the next question then is, so how do I do it? Right? How do I create a strong employer brand? If I have one, how do I elevate it? How do I improve it in such a way that I'm able to attract and retain talent? This would be the main, bulk of my sharing, and I hope this is something where you'd really catch the main content and some key takeaways that you can apply in your organization, regardless if you're in a small business, retail, or any other industry. So 6 steps on how to build your employer brand from the inside out. The very first step, it is to articulate your employer value proposition, or your EVP. Your EVP should be aligned to your company mission, vision, and values, right? So while it should articulate what your employees or your candidate future employees can expect by being a part of your organization, it is more than that. It is not, when you do a job offer and then you share that this is what you're getting, these are the benefits. It's beyond that, because an EVP is something that would articulate the sense of purpose that your employees should have as being part of your organization. So it is your company's reason for existence. It is your contribution to the wider community. So it is something that job seekers and employees should be able to resonate. They should be able to connect with it. Like when they know that this is actually what's happening whenever they are working in your organization every day. Here are some examples. Okay, again, some popular brands easy for us to identify. Apple, join us, be you. It speaks about uniqueness, individuality, which is very important in an innovative company. Facebook, do the most meaningful work of your career It speaks about purpose. Lego, succeed together. It speaks about, it speaks about that camaraderie, collaboration, being successful together as a team. Nike, we lead, we invent, we deliver, we use the power of sports to move the world. Again, a sense of purpose. And Unilever, a better business, a better world, a better you. I'm sure that there's, a longer version of this, but these are the taglines that they have. But basically, what I want to emphasize here is that your EVP should be able to articulate what your job seekers will experience when they join your company. Again, it is the sense of purpose that your employees, your people have for being a part of your organization. And more, we find, right, that today's generation, and also amidst COVID, employees are looking for that sense of purpose. They need that. Like, they just don't want to do their 8 to 5 job, but they wanted to know that they are a part of that, they're part of an organization that creates an impact in a wider community. So that's why having an EVP that speaks of your organization's purpose is very important. Now let's learn from Philippines' best workplaces, Canva. For our Canva users here, right? I would guess that many of you are using Canva. It is a design app, and Canva was established in 2013. It has grown to over 40 million monthly active users across over 190 countries, with over 4 billion designs created at over 80 designs per second. They have 335 employees in the Philippines, and Canva was named Great Place to Work certified and also number 3 in Philippines' best workplaces list for 2 consecutive years. And as I've shared earlier, we are really very proud that Canva Philippines ranked number 1 in Asia's best workplaces 2021 under small and medium business category. So we had the privilege of speaking with Canva's country head as well as HR head in one of our employer branding video podcasts. And you can see, we can watch that podcast later on to scan that QR code that will lead you to that podcast. And Yanni, who is the Canvas Philippines country head, she said that the secret sauce of some of the best companies that she knows of or we all see is being clear on your vision, what your vision is. Most companies, most businesses, I'm sure, I would like to say all would have that vision, and it's something that the founder himself, the owner himself, or the business leader has. And Yanni continues that, and that vision is not just about the product, but more importantly, it is about how you treat your people and how you want to grow your team. She thinks that when you start a business and pursue something, you always need to be clear about who you want to be and how you want to treat others. Oftentimes, businesses, we stop at having a clear vision on where we want this business to be. We want this to grow. We want to have this X number of revenue. We want to have high growth. But what is your vision for your employees? Who do you want to be as an employer? I can almost imagine that this is just like, like raising a child and thinking that how would I want my son to describe me as his parent? So something like that, like thinking of how would you want your people to describe you as an employer. And in that podcast, which was hosted by our sales manager, she asked Vanson and Yanni, when is the best time to start building your employer brand? And Vanson, Canvas Philippines people lead, said, building and investing in a good employer brand starts when the business starts. So you need to give your people a compelling reason to pick you over other companies. With competition for talent becoming more evident, even in this remote work setup, the more employer branding becomes a key differentiator across talent landscape. So the time is now. Great, if you're starting a business, you already know this, but if you have not, now is the right time to start thinking, what is my employer brand? Who do I want to be as an employer? What is my vision as an employer? First step, articulate your employer value proposition. And the second step, at the core of a successful employer brand, and this is very important, I want to spend a lot more time here. At the core of a successful employer brand is a great employee experience, right? So I want to pause here. I've been talking for the past 24 minutes. I want to stop sharing and ask you, in your opinion, what is one thing that makes your company a great workplace? Or if you don't want anything about your company, like for those of you who've had, experiences working in other organizations, what was the best workplace experience that you've had, and what makes it a great place to work? Like, if you can share that on the chat screen, I would be very grateful. I will read your responses.
Okay, there's one already.
Oh, it's moving so fast. Employee engagement, being values-driven organization, empowering employees, the family culture, that's there too, family-oriented. Family culture, work-life balance, company culture, it's the culture. And that's very true, even, especially in the Filipino context, it's a family culture, having that kind of relationship. Safe and equal environment, I think especially right now, safe, healthy workplace culture. Melissa said people-centered. Olive said malasakit to employees, a very good Filipino values, tried and tested values, work-life balance, taking care of people, having great leaders and family culture, and said concern for welfare of people. Thank you. Rico Manuel said, CJ, you make a great workplace.
He's a good friend. Rico from Ayala Land.
Working colleagues, family, open opportunities in terms of promotion. Yes. So
hey, Marlon,
thank you for
I know him.
Marlon said open to opportunities in terms of promotions. Yeah, growth, right? We want to grow in the company. Thank you for your responses. Yeah. So one thing, right, that I want to share here is that what makes a company, what makes a great workplace may be unique for each company. Like what makes Google very popular, it is what it is great. It will not apply for all organizations. Your organization is unique. What would make your company a great place to work? Your culture is unique to you. However, in our study, a great place to work, there is one element that we find is true. It cuts across all best workplaces, great workplaces, and that is trust. Okay. Right now in the pandemic, we're seeing things change very fast, right? And one would wonder, so what makes a great workplace before? Is it even the same right now? It is. At the onset of the pandemic, we already did a study and research, wanted to find out what would make a great workplace even right now, where people are working remotely. And what we find that the definition of a great place to work remains the same. It is one wherein you trust the people that you work for, you have pride in what you do, and you enjoy the people that you work with. Bottom line, while we all want, having the fancy office, which we can't enjoy right now, but having good pay, having, promotions, it is the quality of relationship that you have in your organization that makes it a great place to work. I'd say it's good news because that puts all of us in equal playing field, right? Like you don't have to be certain size, you don't have to be operating in a certain industry. It is something that all of us, as long as you have people in your organization, then you are eligible in creating a great place to work because it is about the quality of relationship in your organization. So I want to spend a bit more here. When you think about, so it's about quality of relationship, Toni. Then what are the relationships that you have in your company? There are actually three key relationships that you have. One is your relationship with your manager, with your boss, and the senior leaders of the company. The second key relationship is your relationship with your colleagues, office mates. Third is your relationship with your job itself, the work that you do. Now, when we talk about relationship with management, there are three what we call dimensions that we are looking at. that makes the relationship between managers and employees, fantastic. And these are those. One is credibility. Credibility is about whether your employees perceive you as a leader, as someone who's credible when it comes to decision making, when it comes to people management. The employees see you as a person of integrity. Do you walk the talk, right? And do you engage with your employees in two-way communication? Like one of the questions that we ask in our survey is that I can ask management any reasonable question and get a straight answer. So that speaks about employees' perception of you when it comes to your credibility as a leader. Second dimension, relationship with management still, is respect. And I always say this, this is not the first time that you're speaking with me, you've heard me say this before. This is what I personally like. Because in a Philippine context, right, we grew up being respectful. Like, oops, huwag kang magsasalita, pastapusin mo muna ako. Like, you cannot even argue, at least in, probably in prior generations, like, you really just need, things are more top down. And that is because we respect them. It's not because we just have to shut up, but because we respect them, and that's how we show our respect. Well, but this respect that we are looking into is do your employees actually feel that you, their manager, respect them? So it's the other way around as well. And how does this work? Do they feel that they are supported? Right now, your employees are working remotely. Some of them may be working remotely. And do they have that tools, equipment that they need to work? Do you collaborate with them when it comes to decision making? And do they feel cared for? And the important thing here is that do they feel that they are genuinely cared for, not just as an employee, but as an individual? That right now, while your employees, while you're probably in a time when you are in a video call with your employees, and then all of a sudden, her child started crying, like, would you understand that? Would you extend that level of care even in your employee's personal life? Credibility, respect, and fairness. Fairness is about your employees perceive you as management, as fair. Are you equitable when it comes to pay, promotion? And it's not just that. Do we have a healthy work environment that there's no, that we are able to control politicking and that, that perception of favoritism? And is there impartiality when it comes to diversity and inclusion, which is also a big thing now? Do your employees, regardless of their gender, their religion, regardless of their age and tenure in your organization, even sexual orientation, do they feel that that they are treated fairly and equally in your organization? So credibility, respect, and fairness, these are the three dimensions that make a healthy work relationship between management and your employees. And then the fourth dimension is about employees' relationship with their colleagues, and this is about camaraderie. Is there a family or team spirit here? We saw that in the chat a while ago. A number of you said that it is colleagues, it is co-workers, it is that culture, it is having that family culture in our organization. Here we're looking at what we say intimacy, which is I can be myself. I can be myself around here. There is a family or team feeling here. And when I joined this organization, I was made to feel welcome. And not just that, when I moved to another department, I was also made to feel welcome. So that is camaraderie. Last but not least, pride. Do your employees have that sense of pride in the work that they do? Do they feel that they make a difference in your company? And are they proud to tell others that I work for this organization? Are they proud of the contribution that you make for the community, and not just the accomplishments that they've done in your organization? So again, credibility, respect, fairness, camaraderie, and pride, those are the 5 dimensions that make a great place to work. And again, it is anchored on trust. It is the quality of the relationships in your organization that makes it a great place to work. Now, while that definition is, applies for all, what we also found in our research is that managers, those of you who are people managers here, we actually have a slightly different definition of what makes a great place to work. And rightfully so, because we have our own, different set of responsibilities and expectations once you become a people manager. And what makes a great place to work for a manager? It is when you're able to achieve your organizational objectives with people who give their personal best and are able to work together as a team, again, all in the environment of trust. It's not just you delivering it, right? Like you're able to inspire, empower your people to deliver your organization objectives. What you see on the screen now is what we call our 9 practice area. So to achieve organizational objectives as a manager, you are to inspire your people to speak and to listen to them. If you look at those behaviors that you see on the wheel, it sounds very simplistic. Like everyone, we could always think, you can almost think that everyone should know this. These are fundamental things. And that is precisely it. It is the fundamental things that are important in building relationship with our people. And that's what we need, to be able to achieve organizational objectives with people who give their personal best and work together as a family. So let me give you an example. To achieve organizational objectives, you need to inspire your people. It is to make your employees feel that their work has a meaning. It is not just a job. And as a manager, you are able to inspire your employees even at a one-on-one level, right? By connecting the work that they do with the bigger scheme of things. How does your own work impact our entire organization and even our customers' lives or the people outside our company, the community? So inspiring, speaking, listening. To help your people give their personal best, one thing that's important is caring. Example that I gave earlier. So employees need to know that as their manager, you care for them as a person and not just as an employee. And this happens when managers recognize and are respectful of employees' lives outside work. When you connect with them by asking them for their feedback and their opinion, involving them in decision making and providing them the resources that your employees feel cared for when you do that for them. It's about developing them and also thanking them. The last aspect is working together as a family, all in the environment of trust. And that's one thing I want to highlight here is celebrating. And I think this is particularly important in Filipino culture. Despite the pandemic, despite working remotely, companies are able to find ways to still celebrate together. Filipinos in general, we are highly social and fun-loving people. And it's important that we make time to recognize our accomplishments, how we are surviving through this pandemic and be able to celebrate together with team, even virtually. So the key here is intentional leadership. And intentional leadership is a key success factor, and managers must be well supported. So these are behaviors that managers exude, but the reality is that managers should also be supported by the organization to be able to do all of these 9 behaviors. And what we see is that great workplaces are also intentional in providing their managers support so that they are able to inspire their people, they're able to care for them, and they're able to celebrate with them. So at great workplaces, employees believe that their leaders are credible. They show respect towards them and they are fair. And that this results to employees' pride and camaraderie. So what we've been seeing so far is that leaders play a crucial role in building that great workplace culture. And what I'm also been trying to say is that to elevate your employer brand is really just at the tip of the iceberg. It should start from within. It starts with your company culture, just like what most of you said earlier. It is a company culture that makes their company a great place to work. And it is a company culture that is anchored on trust, where there is credibility, respect, fairness, pride, and camaraderie. Your employee experience is what validates your employer brand. 95% of Philippines' best workplaces employees say that taking everything into account, I would say that this is a great workplace, versus 85% of employees from companies that did not make it on the list. So it is really their experience that would strengthen and validate your employer brand. Let me share a few testimonies from some employees of Philippines' best workplaces, like for example, DHL Express, their employee, speaking highly, commending their leaders to look after their well-being, especially during at the onset of the pandemic, where the leaders themselves called employees asking them how they are doing. Another example from Canva, employee, feeling thankful that the organization Canva is able to provide them with the resources that they need to be productive at work. They give them regular swag kits, just to connect with them, like different resources. And what's important is that they are also able to continue to conduct fun, engaging activities online so that their employees will be able to feel that they're connected, even while working remotely. Another example is Synchrony, wherein employees are saying that, I'm just grateful that I still have a job, and they recognize what their leaders have put through, so that they would be able to put their people first, even amidst the pandemic. And you might be wondering, you might be saying to yourself now that, okay, Toni, these are big brands, these are good, probably they have lots of company like Canva, as I mentioned earlier, it's a medium organization, and others might be, in large categories when it comes to employee size. Now, let me share an example, which is Dow Chemical Philippines, a subsidiary of Dow Inc. They are a diversified industry-leading portfolio of specialty chemical, advanced materials, plastic companies, and they have a coating plant in Las Piñas, and they have 46 employees. Okay, while being part of large organization, big brand name, they do have only 46 employees in the Philippines. And when we surveyed them, 84 of their employees say that Dow Chemical Philippines is a great place to work. But what I really want to highlight here is that 98%, almost 100% of their employees say that our executives fully embody the best characteristics of our company. I personally believe, and even our research shows, that this is an advantage, that small size in terms of employee population companies have as an advantage, because again, it's about that relationship. And in a small organization, your employees are able to connect with you more frequently versus one where it's a big organization and they only get to see the CEO during town halls. But nevertheless, again, it is about that relationship. So regardless of your company size, the industry that you operate in, or the maturity of your business, your employee experience matters. So from articulating your employer value proposition, creating that great workplace experience, that great culture for your company. Once you've done that, the next step is drive meaningful employer branding campaigns. And this is where the synergy between HR and marketing come into play. Oftentimes, what I see, and I'm also an HR practitioner, what I see is that HR, we are able to articulate that employer value proposition, and we are able to create those people practices that would live by our EVP. But sometimes we stop there. A common pitfall is that we stop there, we do not market it, we do not create those campaigns. And this is where synergy between HR, marketing, or your PR team would be very powerful in creating those campaigns. And social media has been powerful medium for visual storytelling. You can ask your employees who are willing, of course, to share their testimonies. And then you can highlight it in your career website, or you can also highlight a snippet of your virtual event that you have. So it's basically sharing what you're doing for your employees. Because oftentimes you do all of this, and then the next time you ask your employees, they forget about it. So it's also important to remind them, like, this is what makes us a great place to work, and this is what we are doing for you. So most stakeholders and job seekers, they scope out workplace cultures, through employer review sites and social media. So it is very important that you create a compelling, fun, and welcoming content online. And here are some examples. This is like Sun Life Asia Service Center. This is their social media. Deersol. We also have Western Union, who announced their certification online. But not only that, having that kind of branding when it comes to the trophies, some of the swags or collect materials that they give to their employees. Ingram Micro, I shared their story earlier. I love their very creative, colorful campaigns. Again, to articulate their employer brand, what would job seekers experience when they join the company? They're actually stepping into greatness once they join Ingram Micro. So again, the partnership between HR, your creative team, would help you bring your employer brand campaigns into the next level. And really, with influencers on the rise, right, there's no need for you to look further for one influencer for your company. It is your employees who are your best influencers. They are your brand ambassador, and they are the best there is to speak about your brand. So step 4 now, articulate your EVP, build that great workplace experience, drive meaningful campaigns. The next step is where not everyone, the next step is where some, if not most, companies would stop. They'd stop conducting, they wouldn't go that mile to conduct a brand audit and evaluate employee experience. What's heartening to see is that more and more we are seeing companies in the Philippines do this. But why? Why are people hesitant to conduct a brand audit or to evaluate or to ask their employees to answer an employee survey? It's because of fear. From my conversations with clients, it's often because of fear. Like, I don't think we are there yet. I'm not sure if you're ready for this. I'm not sure if you've done enough for people. But really, as business leaders, right, we are comfortable working with data. Like, we would look into financial statements. You look at market study. But when it comes to what our employees are saying, we would go to the grapevine. Like, while we can argue that it may be effective, but we also need to have that scientific way of hearing from our employees, and not just a random, how are you doing? How are things going? So it is normal to feel anxious about this, especially if you have not done it before. Because a lot of times you'd ask, like, what am I gonna find out? What will employees say about their experience? And once I ask them, what are they expecting from me, right? And so these are all valid concerns. But for us to bring our business to another level, we must first bring the company culture to another level. And an important step to bringing your culture to another level is to know, where are we now, right? It's just like business planning. Where are we now? Where do we want to be? Where are we now? How do we get there? It's also like that. Like, where are we now in terms of culture? And the best source of that information are your people. And that is why we ask them, encourage you to do that in a scientific way. I'm running a bit out of time. I just want you to reflect. I wouldn't ask this for you to put it on a chat, but how often do you actually connect with your employees? What we find is that, given the circumstances brought by the pandemic, it is even more crucial right now to listen to the voices of your employees, right? It is important to remain relevant to what their needs are. Their needs are changing. Situations keep on changing almost every day, very frequently now. Everything seems ambiguous, uncertain, and it just keeps on changing. We do not know what will happen a month from now. So it is even more important to listen to the voices of your employees. There are many different ways to do this, and it is just what we call active listening. Frequent dialogue between manager and employee. Again, remember, it is about building that connection, that relationship. Surveying your employees, because this gives them, the assurance that it is confidential. I wouldn't be identified, especially if you have not built that kind of culture yet, where your employees are comfortable sharing their feedback openly. That's where a survey would help you. Conducting focus group discussions, right? Like, it's just really like chatting with each other, but being more intentional and structured on how you do it. That's what a focus group is. Leadership-led forums, town halls, skip-level meetings, and very important is practicing open door policy. That your employee knowing that you can come anytime, you can speak to me anytime, because ultimately it is the voice of your employees that would tell you if your company is a great workplace. And it is also that same voice that will tell you what else can you do better to become an even better place to work for your employees. articulate your EVP, build your great workplace experience, drive meaningful employer branding campaign, conduct a brand audit, survey your employees, evaluate your employee experience. If some companies don't reach step 4, some companies also don't reach, of course, step 5, and that is being recognized. Being out there, being recognized as a great place to work. There are many recognition bodies out there, and my advice is for you to look for that recognition body that resonates with your EVP, that resonates with your company value, right? And as I shared earlier, right, it is not typical, and there are more and more companies seeing the importance of this. And one example I can give, it's not Philippine-based company, it's KME Digital, which is a Virginia-based marketing agency, also a small company. They realized that the value of having a third-party validation is that it could drive more to their business. It is good to hear from your employees, of course, that's the main reason, but also because clients often respect companies who care for their employees. And having that third-party validation, it's guaranteed. It's not just us saying it. It's based on what our employees are saying. And again, clients often respect companies who care for their employees. So earning recognition allows you positive brand exposure, and it creates strong, lasting, meaningful connection with your audience. It also makes your employees feel that proud, that I am proud, and I am proud to be a part of a great workplace, best workplace, a top employer, or a best company. So there are many recognition bodies out there, as I've said. Go look for one that resonates with what your EVP is and what your company value is. Because creating and sustaining great workplace experience really is a journey. You need to start somewhere. And it is a continuous journey. It doesn't stop at one point. Again, just like any relationship, it just keeps on going and it keeps on evolving. So once you have that, once you build a great workplace experience for your employees, your employer brand will speak for itself. Your employees will be your brand ambassador. And you can now enjoy, the benefits of a great employer brand, like what we've shared earlier: talent attraction, talent retention, talent engagement. And here in this slide, this is 2021 Philippines Best Workplace versus other organizations that did not make it on the list. And you can see with the red bar, the Philippines Best Workplaces outperform other organizations when it comes to talent attraction, retention, and even that sense of purpose. And what to me is very heartening is that this 92% of employees in Philippines Best Workplace say that I feel I make a difference here, right? And this is amidst a pandemic. This is something, that we can give to our employees, having that sense of purpose when things are so vague and things are so trying, for them to know that I make a difference, like I matter. One thing that we've also found is that despite the pandemic, the best are getting better, even better. The score that we've seen on Philippines Best Workplaces 2020 versus 2022 has 2020 versus 2021 has actually increased in this particular statement. Taking everything into account, I would say this is a great workplace. So really, in the darkest of times, the Philippines Best reaps the benefits of a long-term investment that they've been doing and their dedication in building a high-trust workplace culture. So what I've said earlier, it is an investment. We do not know what will happen in the future, and we are all hopeful that it will get better. But if you start building it right now, whatever it is that may come, in the future, you are prepared for it. Your people are prepared for it. You're prepared to go the extra mile for you because they know that in the toughest of times, you were there for them. So what makes a great workplace, again, it is trust. What makes a strong employer brand, it is your employee experience. And creating a meaningful employee experience is key in building a great place to work for all and in elevating your employer brand that reaps benefits for your business and also for your people. So I hope that, help encourage you and also inspired you to start creating your very own great workplace experience for your people and for your business. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That was a lot. You reap what you sow, right? Toni?
That's right.
You reap what you sow. And your business is like an ISO, like an ISO accreditation.
You can say that, TJ. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to explain it.
Right.
Like an ISO, but what we are looking at assessing is really the culture, the employee experience. Like we're putting that stamp that this is a Great Place to Work certified company.
But to get there is a journey. And
It is.
a lot of things that you have to think through and build, right? Okay, catch your breath. Have a cup of coffee. I'd just like to do a few shout outs before I call in our panelists, Dr. A. All right. I'd like to say thank you to the 172 attendees who joined us today. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We have one question from Jacqueline Gorospe. We'll get back to you on that, Jacqueline. We'll ask the question when we go to the Q&A. I also want to thank our attendees. We have attendees from Zambales all the way down to Coronadal, South Cotabato. So we have about 48 companies in terms of countries. Aside from the Philippines, we have Singapore, the US, United Kingdom, and Hong Kong. So very good attendees, both in quantity and quality. The most number of attendees is one of our showcase, Watson's Personal Care. Thank you very much for joining us. But by a diverse set of industries from retail, manufacturing, advertising, consulting, even government, state and local, hospitality, medical, pharma. And we're happy you're joining us to learn, because learning is a spectrum. Okay, we must always learn to improve, especially in the era of the pandemic. We must find ways together to get through this and rise and thrive. Okay, now let us now okay, by the way, guys, please answer the survey questions. We PRA's virtual learning series, the podcast, have done a lot in the 18 months. We'd like to be of service to the industry. We'd like to be able to improve and give you better and insightful and relevant topics. So please answer the questionnaire. There it is. I'll give you 10 seconds. Please scan it with your phone. Please scan it with your Jesena QR code. Okay. It's very important to us. Feedback's very important to us. Our team who works on the virtual learning series and the webinar and the podcast need your feedback so we can come back with more interesting, exciting, relevant topics. All right. Done scanning? Okay. Let me call in Dr. A of Primer. By the way, thank you, Dr. A. I look at our count, you have 14 team members with you today. Very good. All right. Okay. Dr. A will share with us his insights and also what they've done in Primer in relation to making it a great place to work. After Dr. A's sharing, we'll open the floor to Q&A. I have questions. Dr. A also has questions. I see one question in our chat coming up. So Dr. A, your floor. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from the Primer Group of Companies. So I'd like to relate our experience in terms of the framework as shared to us by Toni. Her first step was step one, articulate employer value proposition. Actually, we conducted a survey as well to our new employees for 2021. Why did they join Primer? And the top answers were: number one, work environment and culture. Number two, the brands that we are carrying, and of course, it's a very established company. And number three, there are career growth and learning opportunities. So those are the top three answers for the people who join Primer now. And actually, I'd like to share with you that we also have our tagline, our EVP tagline. We call it Work That Lets You Play. When I first joined Primer, I asked around, what does this mean to you? Work that lets you play. And the common answers was they enjoy working. They enjoy performing together with their teams. They help out each other. Sabay-sabay namin pinaghihirapan ang magandang trabaho. And of course, the usual kainan, inuman sessions, virtual sessions that gets them together. And part of it also is we are also celebrating work that lets you play in a way that we enjoy work. kahit na mahirap siya, we are now in this pandemic season, and yet we are thriving, we are helping out. We are very active and also in our CSR. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had lots of donations to our medical frontliners and communities affected. And internally, we also have our version of our community pantry. So that is how we articulate work that lets you play, which is our EVP. Second, step 2, build trust and create a great workplace experience. For one, of course, we have to live what we claim to be our EVP, which is work that lets you play. So it begins actually in the onboarding, onboarding and immersion experience. Simula nito, we talk about what we call as the primer story. Paano nagsimula yung primer with the 5 founders? Because actually it started out as a small company 35 years ago, and it now has grown diverse, more than 150 brands in retail and in various industries, including industrial as well. So it grew that much. And it was, it was also anchored on the values of the founders. And it was translated into corporate values of what we call as I-STEP. I, integrity; S, self-discipline; T, teamwork; E, entrepreneurial spirit; P, passion for excellence. So actually, there are lots of testimonials leading to this. Now, Toni talked about, building that trust. We conducted actually recently, just 2 months ago, on the employee engagement experience. And the top things that came out was the clear expectations, what is expected of an employee. That is very, very clear from the very beginning. And they are provided with the necessary tools for their work so that they can perform their respective roles. And the third, of course, is regular dialogue that is happening between leaders, between their friends, between their colleagues, whether become face-to-face or virtual, okay? Then the third step is drive meaningful employer experience. Now, here's really wherein very recently during the pandemic, we asked our employees, how do you live the I-STEP values, not just in work, but in your life, in your community as well. And so various employees shared how they helped out people, how they showed malasakit, how they showed that self-discipline of really taking care of yourself, in that integrity in spite of all of the financial difficulties. Integrity is always there. These are published internally. We call as a primer post. Para itong internal publication namin that is electronic and everyone has access to this. Another is during the pandemic last year, when it started last year, we formed what you call as an employee marketplace. Here is where we formed, very simple, we formed a Viber chat group, and here they post their products. Yung mga niluto nila, yung mga handicrafts nila, including accessories. It's a wonderful way to help each other out. And it's one way to have engagement with each and every employee. Okay, so that's how we bring to life work that lets you play. Another is we value learning and growth opportunities, both in-house and outsourced. Of course, pandemic season, training costs are high. What we did was we have our own in-house programs. Marami namang free dyan sa YouTube. And we also endorse curated YouTube programs. And of course, we engage also both consultants outside to help us in our training, both for functional and soft skills. So soft skills is really more of relationship building and how we build great leaders and how employees will be effective in their respective jobs. Step 4, conduct brand audit. Toni really mentioned, about active listening. And I truly believe in this. When we actively listen to our employees, this is one way for employees to tell us how we are doing as leaders, how we are doing as employers, okay? Toni mentioned about dialogue. We do that on a regular basis. Surveys. We conducted, for the past 6 months alone, we conducted 3 surveys on how our employees are doing. And they also mentioned their needs. We talked about training needs. We talked about how to improve, happiness within the workplace. And that's it. We also conducted FGDs because we want work that lets you play to be relevant. That's how we came to know that work that lets you play talks about enjoying work. Para ka hindi nagtatrabaho, kasi ang sarap magtrabaho. Ang sarap gawin yung trabaho mo because it lets you unleash your potential. One way we do this is we recently emulated a Harvard Business Review article on what you call a shadow board. In that article, you have a board of directors, and they appointed younglings or the millennials or the Gen Zs to critique that or how to make relevant the strategic intent or the strategies. How do you make that relevant to a predominantly Gen Z workplace? And we mimic that in the company. We gave them case studies, and with these case studies alone, it provided with employees to unleash their potential, unleash their ideas. Some of these ideas, we as in the Gen X or even the baby boomers, hindi namin naisip na, oy, pwede pala yung mga ganun, napakagandang idea. Let's bring that to life. In fact, very recently, one of the leading universities in the Philippines approached us for their capstone project. It was actually a contest of this university. So we gave them live case studies of our brands, and they brought it to life with wonderful ideas, and it was a contest. It's very, very rewarding because, when you nurture these ideas, they give value. And one way to give value of this, we look at it, let's look at their proposals, let's see how it can be done, and of course, let's fund it and implement it. Step 5, Great Place to Work certification. We're not there yet. Building this employer brand is a journey. But informally, we have this in place. And very recently, last May, Primer was awarded as one of the top 100 graduate employers list. I would like to show this to you. We were very much honored. There were 2 criteria of why we were chosen. First is the popularity ranking. It means that in social media posts, they see Primer and our brands. And the second criteria is quality ranking. This apparently refers to employee review that is found in JobStreet, Glassdoor, and Indeed. And based on this, we are very proud and we are very honored to be granted to be in the top 100 graduate employer for the year 2021. With this really inspired us more to be a better company, to have a more engaging employee experience, and we want to improve. Oh, by the way, one of you asked the question, what about resignations? In step 3, driving meaningful employer experience, resignation is also one way to have that wonderful or meaningful employee experience. Mahirap talaga resignation, di ba? This, lalo na if the person is a performer and you have to let them go. But of course, because they saw greener pastures, one way to create that meaningful experience, that one-on-one, that exit interview, although how painful that experience is, it became meaningful wherein you wish the best for that employee to apply the learnings that they gathered in Primer to that new career that they are taking into, that new chapter in their life. And the best part is our founders take an active role in these exit interviews with critical talents. And the most important of all, we welcome them back. They're always welcome to come back to Primer in the near future when they do, when they feel like coming back. We are always welcome for that. So that's one way that we earned a Great Place to Work certification, not through Great Place to Work, but through a third party. And we are very thankful for that. And last of all, step 6, enjoy benefits of a great employer brand. One way is really talent retention and talent attraction. It's very difficult at this time, but the key is really dialogue, kinukumusta. Actually, we are teaching our leaders to not just talk about work in your conversations, but spend at least the first 5 to 10 minutes kumustahin natin mga employees natin. How are they doing? How are they coping up with all of these pressures in terms of getting vaccinated, in terms of the threat of COVID hitting them or hitting their employees. We even have a COVID primer watch wherein binabantayan namin lahat ng mga naapektuhan, all those who were positive, PUI, PUM, our doctor and our nurse and our teams are closely monitoring everyone. And we are thankful that there's been no death in terms of COVID and everyone recovered. And we will continue to do so to take care of our employees. And of course, convince employees to get vaccinated. We are proud to say that we are over 80% already in terms of vaccination rate of all of our employees. That will ensure a safe workplace. And of course, at the level of our stores, that will give us the confidence that when customers come to our stores, it's a safe place to shop. Okay. Overall, this will be a journey. It will be a continuing journey, and together with the entire community, our industry ecosystem, let's together build workplaces that are happy, that will be productive, and that will make, parang para saan ka gumigising sa umaga, ang sarap ng trabaho. Yun ang gusto nating marating. And of course, as Toni mentioned, we want more Filipino companies to be known in Southeast Asia as a great place to work. Thank you very much. And that is the primary experience in terms of building our employer brand.
Thank you, Dr. Ake, and congratulations again for that GradPhil Award. And oo nga, saan ka nga gumigising? Sabi nga nung coffee commercial. Diba? All right,
Oh, yeah.
Let's have Toni back. Toni is broadcasting from Singapore. I hope you're or actually almost normal there, right, Toni? I mean, compared to us.
Shifting to endemic, yes.
That's right. Okay, let's go to one question that I see here. Dr. A answered it already, but I need your take, more detailed take on this. This is from Jacqueline Gorospe. Do you think it's possible for companies to actually have a great culture, but attrition rate is also high? I know of one company that has great innovative employee engagement programs where employees are proud of the company. That's one of the important things, what it stands for, but their only complaint is the compensation. Okay, heads, they leave and get pirated. What is your take on this? Okay, Jacqueline, will have Toni and Dr. A share their insights on this question. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I start. Yeah.
Okay. No, go ahead.
I started the kanina about the employee experience in terms of resignations, of course. Actually, historically, our attrition rate has been declining since 2014 all the way to 2019. 2019 was a banner year for us, and it was the lowest attrition rate ever. Of course, 2020 hit, the pandemic hit, and the retail sector has been one of the hardest hit industries, second only to the airline industry, right? The airline and travel industry. And with that, of course, sarado yung mga tindahan, o kung bukas man yung tindahan, konti lang yung negosyo talaga. But of course, there's also e-commerce that can complement that. And the experience of pay cuts is across all of these affected industries. And the pay cuts across not just the executives, but our employees, even down the ranks, also felt it as well. Siyempre, dun pa lang, start of the pandemic, one way that we cared for our people, wala pang government ayuda nun, meron na kami. We started giving financial assistance to our employees, to all of them, And then, one thing also, yun nga, pag resignation, mataas talaga ang attrition rate nito because of course naka-pay cut tayo, and then these employees nakakahanap sila ng trabaho in industries that are not so much affected as the retail sector. Of course, these people are performers, they are well trained, and of course they have talents, but they also have families to support, loans to pay, mortgages to settle with, and all of these expenses. And of course, we care for them. Kaya we wished them well. We had a good dialogue with them. And of course, if and when the economy, and we know it will bounce back, and we know that the retail industry will bounce. Ang tawag nga dito, revenge spending, di ba? In other countries ang nangyari. And we feel that the Philippines will follow that. And when things become better, we welcome all of these employees to come back. Marami na kaming balikbayan sa Primer. Ang dami ng balikbayan because they also learned their experience from other industries, and they come back to Primer and share those, and they contribute to a better work experience. So that's how a resignation can.
So that's practical.
That's parting ways. Yes.
That was a practical decision for those who left the company. It's a practical decision. Okay. Thanks, Dr. A. Toni, your thoughts on that? And I have a Viber question. Okay. And so can you share your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah. So thanks for your question, Jackie. So from our study, companies who are great workplaces would often, like 100% almost, I can say, have better attrition rate than like lower attrition rate than at least the industry average. Okay, so that's something that they are seeing. It may not, definitely not happening overnight. But putting on my consulting hat, right, pay is a hygiene factor. Like the truth is, as much as we want to be part of a great place to work, we all work because of pay. That's the reality. We have, mouths to feed.
Right.
May not have family, but we have to feed our own mouths. So it is what we call a hygiene factor. But are there great workplaces na hindi sila the best paymaster? There are. Again, let me repeat myself. There are great workplaces that may not be, they are providing competitive pay to their employees, but may not be the best in the market. And I've seen that. So again, it goes back to, what is my employer brand? Ano ba yung promise ko sa employees ko? Am I promising a pay, or am I promising better, experience when it comes to innovation, which is more of improving your technical skill when you join? It's more of that career growth that you will experience, not so much about pay. You can still find a competitor with a better pay. And the reason why it's important to have that, clarity in explaining kung ano yung employer brand mo, what are you offering to your employees in simple terms, right from the beginning, so that they know, oh, I'm joining this company not because you're the best pay. They're not the best when it comes to pay, but they're the best when it comes to career growth, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to camaraderie. So you need to articulate those para alam nila right from the beginning. And then in a way that would help solve your attrition problem, because right from the start, they already know why they are joining your company. Oftentimes we see this attrition happening because it's not clearly articulated. Employees expect something else than you are actually able to provide them right from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Jacqueline, I hope Toni and Dr. A were able to answer your question. Now, there is still another question, this time vibered to me by my good friend Rico Manuel of Ayala Land. He's a top honcho of HR. Thanks, Rico, for joining us today. Okay, would they agree that for any mid to large size company, a healthy level of attrition is normal? In fact, shouldn't we as management be more concerned if attrition was zero? What's your comment on that? Thanks, Rico, for the question.
Thanks, Rico. Wouldn't leave if you're working with CJ. That's your thing.
Wow.
Rico, right? Who said that?
Yeah, that's my friend.
What makes a great place to work? There is a healthy level of attrition.
Okay.
Whenever we look at survey results, like the things that I shared earlier, 95%, 80%, those are the positive responses. So as a consultant, I often tell my clients to focus on those who are reporting positive experience, and those who are fence sitters. Yung mga, sometimes I experience this, sometimes I don't. Kasi, the reality is that there will always be employees who won't be, medyo hindi fit dun sa company culture, or are not able to deliver according to expectations. And those are the healthy, natural attritions that we want. As an HR practitioner, like one of my last jobs there in the Philippines, I had the big challenge, massive challenge of communicating to employees, like managing them out I was an HR business partner then. It was a tough job, so much so that it was so stressful. But what I learned there is that sometimes when you're doing this, you're actually opening a new door, better door for those employees who are leaving your organization. Maybe they belong in another culture. While you have a great workplace culture, it may not be the right one for them. So I agree. And sometimes bringing fresh, blood in, that also stirs up that, creativity, brings in something new for your organization, a new perspective, which is also good. So yes, there is that level of healthy attrition. I'd say so.
Is there a number like 5%, 10%, or just something like that?
I don't have a number, but
Okay.
I think usually what companies use is they compare industry attrition rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dr. A, what's your take on that, on the question of Rico?
Okay, hindi ko na ulitin sinabi ni Tony. I'd like to focus on the second part, which
For
is
your experience.
should we be concerned about 0% attrition? For me, it will depend, especially if you're in the technology sector, wherein it's growing, and then you have to innovate in the way you do things. You really need new blood coming in, and for those who are undergoing changes, of course, in change management, you cannot please everyone. There's always that portion who will always refuse to accept change, and they end up leaving the company. But when your company changes, there's a natural attrition for people who cannot cope with the change, but more opportunities are for those who come in. We experienced that in one of our subsidiaries. It's called Airworks. It's an e-commerce company. It enables the e-commerce business of Primer. Here, it's a growing company wherein we attract new talents, and we need new blood in terms of coming into creatives, into performance marketing, all of the business intelligence. These are new skills. And one way to gain those new skills is to attract the talent. So it depends. The answer there is it depends on your direction. And of course, you have to benchmark with similar companies in the same industry. And if you are growing by leaps and bounds and mutating or transforming the company, then definitely there is that magic number in terms of attrition to weed out the old and bring in the new.
And there's no perfect company, right?
That's true.
There is no perfect.
There's no perfect. Okay, now I have a question here from Clara Umali. Interesting question. It's about big companies. How can large companies with 15,000 plus employees distributed in cities and provinces all over the Philippines build trust and a common positive work experience? How can you make sure that culture we have in Metro Manila office is the same experience by everyone else? So there's this geographical distribution of culture. All right, who wants to give the first answer to that?
Okay, let's respond to that. For me, the thing that binds everyone in terms of culture, whether it's nationwide or even in other countries, is the corporate values. Because when we talk about values, timeless kasi siya. It's timeless, it's everlasting, and there are commonalities that made you express that. For example, in terms of integrity, many people, even families, value integrity. And it cuts across whether you're in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, or even globally. So it's really the values that can help you preserve that culture. And of course, the norms, whether formal or informal norms, that will emanate from those corporate values. So that's
Toni. Thanks, Dr. A. Toni.
Yes. So, Clara, I think first thing that I want to say is that it is possible. So we've seen. So part of my role is that we evaluate companies who aspire to be best workplaces. And some of this, as you've seen, are MNCs, right? Like they have presence in multiple countries, and they participate. They are being assessed in multiple locations. And what we've seen is that they are able to, and talking about countries, not just within Philippines.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is that an employee like somewhere else, maybe in the US, would have a similar experience with someone in the Philippines. How do we know that? We see it from their survey, what the employees are saying that makes a company a great place to work. We also see it from, if you remember earlier in what I shared, the 9 practice area. So I agree with Dr. A that yes, it starts with the corporate values, which actually you use to articulate your employer brand. But then remember the second step, it is creating that great workplace experience. So it is being intentional as an HR. I'm guessing probably you're in HR, Clara. So it is being intentional that how do I inspire people? How do I celebrate with them? How do I thank them? How do I care for them? And making sure that how you do it in one, you say like one geographical location, one city, you package it and implement it in another country so that they have consistent experience. Like say, for example, in one, I'll just give simple example, right? Like for example, you give your Manila employees swag kits, right? Like you send something for them, you send them something for Christmas, then just make sure that you do it the same for the other. Probably the training opportunities that you give. But one thing that I would say talagang influential in making it consistent is leaders. You know, and that's why a lot of companies invest on their leadership development. Para their leaders are able to speak the same jargon. You know, some companies will have their own jargon and make sure that even though I have a different manager in another office, we are all aligned by the same values, by the same leadership behavior that the company has. In that way, you're able to replicate the same experience kahit na, you know, you are dispersed in different geographical locations.
So it's the consistency across all.
The consistency, yeah.
All right, let's do some elephant in the room questions. Okay, I saw one and I also have some follow-up questions. All right, this is interesting. I'm going to read. Marisa Saludo, she starts off with this. The talk is so ideal if you're starting a new company. Thank you so much for the learning. We're happy about that, Marisa. Now, Toni and Dr. A, here's the elephant in the room question. But if one is to change a 40-year-old company ruled by fear, dictatorship, etc., mostly from the mindset of the older generation, would it still be possible to do a culture change, even if the chairman is not in this kind of change? But the managers or the children of the chairman, second generation, would like to improve the culture of the company. What will your advice be as to how to approach the chairman and convince him that his way of leadership, company culture is not relevant anymore? Is change still possible in this kind of scenario? And I think it's a family corporation. And again, this is the intergenerational play. And this is also the play between multinationals and family corporation dynamics. All right. Nice, interesting question.
Yeah,
Toni?
very interesting.
Then Dr.
So first, Marisa said that it's easy for startup. I would say that even startup find this, you know, challenging. Because as a startup, naman ang concern nila is the budget, right? Like we don't have a budget for a startup. But we've had clients that have been in the business for so long. And exactly what you're saying, like they wanted to change. You know, the reality here, we need, and we were talking about this, DJ, earlier, right? Importance ng leadership buy-in.
Right.
For this to be effective, we need the leaders buy-in because they are the leaders. They are the one who will model. Remember the Great Place to Work model I shared earlier? One key factor is relationship with management, relationship with leader. The employees perceive your leader as respectful. Are they fair? Are they credible? So given that it is important, your next question is correct. Then how do I convince the chairman? How do I convince him that, you know, it's time to probably pass the reign to the kids? You know, again, as a third party, that is where we encourage to do third party survey. Why? Because there's a culture of fear. People won't talk. When you're admittedly saying that there's a culture of fear, they wouldn't, you know, you can't just talk to them and then expect them to say how they really feel. Especially tayo mga Pinoy, and even in Asia culture, we want to save face. Yeah, and I want my job. I want to keep my job. Ikaw na magsabi. Ikaw na yung magre-resign na lang ang magsalita, di ba? Huwag kami, huwag yung mga matitira. So, and that is how survey may work for you. It is anonymous. It could be done by third party, and there are many ways to do it. We do run our own the trust index survey, but some companies would even just use like mga simple survey online just to make it anonymous. And that chairman, I'm sure, as seasoned as he is, would believe data. As I've mentioned, business leaders would look into different data, financial statements, market study, for them to make wise, informed business decisions. So if it's coming from, if there's data that backs it up, I think that would, at least what I've seen so far, that helps. That would help drive your point. And of course, that also would help drive like what employees are trying to say, which they probably find it difficult to say if you're doing it face to face.
That's right. There's the hiya factor and takot factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. A, you are working in a company which is run by the owners themselves, right? And partners and even the second generations there. Your take, please, on the question of Marisa.
Well, you questioning us towards the end, is change still possible in this kind of scenario? Yes, definitely. There's a chance, there's a possibility. I'd like to build on what Toni mentioned about information. Yung mga older generation, sanay sila kasi sa command and control. And the command and control stems from information. During the earlier days, 1950s all the way to the early 1980s, the information kasi flows through a certain group of people lang, diba? Management reports and things. So who has the information? They have the power. But now it's different. Information, Google mo lang yan. Ang dami na, diba? And so one way to do this is really to provide the actual facts and data to the chairman. And because of all of this, they will believe information. Relating to the experience in Primer, we are so happy to say that the second generation is heavily already involved in the various positions in the different aspects of the business, be it in retail, in our e-commerce business, even in our industrial business. The second generation are there who immerse themselves in the actual day-to-day na experience nila. So this is already the gateway to the owners. What is happening on the ground? What works? What does not work? They get communicated. And that for me, you're providing this particular information direct to the founders, direct to the chairman, direct to the owners. And somehow there is that value. So I believe there's always a chance, no matter how slim it is, chance pa rin yun to change.
Okay, thank you, Toni and Dr. A on that. Toni, when I was looking at the best places to work, I noticed that many of them are multinationals, tech, not heritage companies, in heritage in heritage industries. So is there something that heritage companies or long-time industries can learn from this 10? I mean, if they're just gonna give 2 or 3 descriptions, what would they be?
You're right. It is really, mostly MNCs, tech companies. Ito yung mga heavy when it comes to people. In fact, BPO as well. We are seeing that mga call center, shared service, those who are really heavily employing people, yun yung pinaka main product that they have, services that they have. MNCs are also because I think if you, for those of you who read the Insights report, and I've shared it earlier, that we are only on our 2nd year in the Philippines. So a lot of the work that we do is increasing awareness to Filipino businesses, Filipino community on why your employee experience matters and why employer brand matters. But these MNCs, in other countries, they're already participating. They already are aware of this. And that is why when they found out that, you're now in the Philippines, in fact, we call them our trailblazers at Great Place to Work. They're actually the ones who said, why don't you do this in the Philippines? since they are participating or engaging us from other countries. So that is why we are not seeing that much like variety in our list. But right now, as I've mentioned, this year, we are really happy that we're seeing a lot more different industries. And yeah, a lot to do with the level of awareness that we are creating. So what is it that you can learn from them, right? Like that was their question, CJ. I think it is putting your people first. These are big companies. These are companies, and when you say that, they are companies who innovate a lot. They cannot just stay where they are, I know, a year ago or 2 years ago. And right now, tayo, like in the retail, right? Like you're now innovating, moving to e-commerce. And these companies, they've been doing that for many years. So they innovate and introduce natin. And the reason why they're able to innovate is because their people have that great workplace experience. I can be myself in this company. And our study shows that, you know, like if you treat your people well, if they are having that great workplace experience, there is this concept that we call it great place to work, innovation by all. Employees innovate regardless of their role. Dati mga research department lang yan, or certain department. But now, it doesn't matter. You are in HR, you need to innovate. How am I gonna conduct town hall meetings now that we are on a lockdown? How am I going to look after these people as a manager now that I don't see them face to face? We all need to innovate and think like the practices that Dr. A mentioned earlier that they're doing in Primer. You know, like very fast. You need to quickly adapt to it. So these tech companies, these MNCs, what they've been doing, those are on the list, including those that are not, from those industries, is that they put their people first. And what we find is that second learning is that those who put their people first, you can rest assured that your people will put your business first, right? We know that in the Philippines, our term for that is utang na loob. You know, like we don't do it just because I gusto ko magkaroon ka ng utang na loob para sa akin, but we do it because we genuinely care for them. We know that, these people are important, and your employees would also, they can feel it, they can resonate, they would know the authenticity. And why is it important right now, pandemic? Why does this matter? It's because we all want to believe that things will get better. And when things get better, your employees who you're treating well right now will stick with you, because they know that in the toughest of time, you also help them and gave whatever you can. It doesn't have to be extraordinary, because we all know now, it's tough times. Not the company may not have that budget for us, right, but they know that you did everything that you can to keep them. And in some companies, mayroong mga na-furlough. And that's fine if that's what the business had to do, mga hospitality, diba? That's fine. As long as your employees can also count on you and they know that they believe that you did everything you can before letting them go, and that when times get better, they will also be the first one that you will call. So yeah, it seems very basic, but it would go a long way.
Right. Yeah. People first. Okay.
People first.
I'd like to read the comment of Marisa, and this is the one that makes this webinar feel so good. Thank you so much for your valuable advice. I will hold on the chance, no matter how small. Cheers and stay safe. We'll work on this based on your advices. Thanks much. Give up. Yes, Marisa.
Thank you, Marisa.
We're happy that that's an elephant in the room question now. This intergenerational, especially owner-driven company. Now, intergenerational. The other. I'm a baby boomer. Two of your Gen Xers, we all have the Gen Y in our millennials in our team, and now the Gen Zs are coming in. All right. When I look at the 10 best places to work again, I look at it, I look at the pictures. Oh my God, they're all young. If I work there, tito na ako doon, tito mode, father or tito mode. So, is there anything about how can you blend this intergenerational dynamics to become the great place to work? Because if the company's been around for a long time, you'll have 3 generations or 4 generations there already. Let's address the both of you.
Okay. Let me tell you about what we are doing right now. I believe to address the different generations is about alignment of expectations.
Okay.
Siyempre, iba't iba kayo ng gusto di ba? Iba yung gusto ng baby boomer, X, Y, Z, okay? So alignment of expectations. We're currently enabling our leaders We are teaching them how to come up with meaningful conversations. And the very beginning is to align the expectations and to agree on ways of working. Yung tinatawag nating norms. Lalo na ngayon, ba, yung mga Gen X nasanay physical presence sa office. Boom, pandemic. Virtual na tayo ngayon, di ba? Ano gagawin natin? Gagawin natin, di ba? Siyempre, nag-virtual tayong lahat. It was painful at the beginning, pero eventually we get the hang of it. One way is what we did is how to conduct virtual meetings effectively. Yung mga basic na ganun eh. It's really more of enabling them to have those alignment conversations. Dati, pagdating sa onboarding, talagang physical presence yan eh, di ba? Yeah, ibibigay mo yung ID, ibibigay mo yung laptop, tapos orientation. Eh ngayon, virtual na siya. So dyan, minimail na yung yung laptop or even the ID, and then everything is virtual. So it's really more of adopting alignment first of expectations, supporting each other, and really implementing it. And of course, provide regular feedback.
That's good. Thanks, Dr. A. Toni, and then we have a very interesting question afterwards. Yes.
Okay.
Toni.
Yeah. I shared earlier what makes a great place to work, right? And what we've seen then in our studies is that a true great place to work, yung mga best workplaces, they are a great place to work for all. There is that for all.
Okay.
And ang ibig sabihin ng for all na yun is when we conduct our study, we also dissect it by demographic group, by age. Yan, like what you said, right? Baby boomer, Gen X, millennials. And in a true great place to work, across all demographic group, across all age group, across all tenure, they have consistent, the same experience. In another organization, makikita niyo in the bar chart, pare-pareho, wala masyadong discrepancy. Like a discrepancy can be 1 to 3% lang. But in other organizations, malaki yung discrepancy. Like masasaya lang yung mga boss, hindi masaya yung middle manager kasi sila yung sandwich group nasa gitna. Utos ni boss, cascade ko down the line. So that is a concept na for all. So to answer the question, what can you do? Look into programs that will cater the needs of each. And this does not apply lang when it comes to generations. It could also be gender, different demographic profiles. Frankly, you don't have money to do this, right? Pandemic ngayon. But you don't have to. Let's talk about baby boomer. We want to have a legacy, right? We want to have that legacy. We want to have that influence. Give them opportunity to mentor. They have a wealth of experience that kahit na marami ng information right now that the younger generation has.
Right.
But baby boomers have that influence. Create that mentoring program. It won't cost you anything. It's just your time creating that program. Gen X, most of us would have young family, right? So think of how can you support, like giving working moms more flexibility so that they can support their kids when it comes to homeschooling. Again, won't cost you anything. It's just that flexibility. And then millennials, they want autonomy. So these millennials, they want autonomy too. They want to be right on the forefront. You're thinking of creating great place to work. Ask them, create a project team. Your mandate is to create programs. What can we do to create great workplace? And then let those millennials come up with fresh ideas on how to, what programs to make. So the point being is that look at their unique needs and then cater to those needs. And there are a lot of opportunities for you to do that without even spending a lot of money. Yeah.
I like that, not spending a lot of money. Okay, I have another elephant in the room question.
Okay.
I love this elephant in the room question. I think, and this will be our last question before to our wind down question. Okay, let's get this. From Clarence Ranches. Get a very exotic middle name. Okay, Clarence, what are the right ways and process for us new business owners during the pandemic to manifest great workplace environment and make the workplace a safe place for them, especially this time a lot of people who are frustrated, stressed, etc. Also with huge office politics in these times of pandemic. Okay, so the stress of the pandemic and the office politics. All right. First to go, Toni.
And that's it, that question. Right? There are a lot of elephants.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Madami siya eh. There's politics, there's stress, there's
Correct. With the
safety.
pandemic, with the
Yeah.
pandemic around it. Okay, go.
The question is, for business owners, so think about it like from a business owner point of view. It may sound so simplistic, but what I would advise for you to do is communicate with your people. So I do culture coaching, and I speak with CEOs, business owners when I do culture coaching. So this is like after doing the survey, I presented them the data, share with them the results, and then tell them what can you do better. And oftentimes, lalo na in this pandemic, there are three things that we are seeing na bumababa yung score. And that is perception around impartiality. This is politicking. There's politicking in the office. There is favoritism. And what we found is that, yeah, these are common things you may say, right? Kahit naman nung may office, talagang may politika. But we are seeing it even more now. It's because, I guess, it's that insecurity and uncertainty kasi walang face time. Right? Dati nasa-sense ko pa eh. Right now, ang hirap ma-sense when you're just on the screen. And hindi mo na nakikita, in their room kung anong ginagawa nila. So a lot of those and the insecurity ambiguities, which makes you try to think, naturally to think of ano kayang iniisip nila or things like that. And what we found is that to address those politics, everything, frustration, it's communication. As simple as it may sound. Communication and collaboration with your employees. And as a business owner, you're in the right position to do that. Ikaw yung most influential in your company. You don't even have to be the owner, like even a business leader, to just pick up, phone or do a Zoom meeting as frequent as you can with your employees. Like I would do it even bi-weekly with my own team, one-on-one. And that's besides doing it in a group meeting. And have a meeting na no agenda. It's really just to check how are you doing. And that would help appease them. Share with them what are your challenges being vulnerable. Right? If you spoke about this in our
vulnerable. Okay. Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yes. So and engaging them. Like if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say I don't know the answer. And maybe you can help me. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Let's collaborate and let's collaborate and come up with a solution together. So that perception or impartiality, frustration, politics, the best way to address that is open the line of communication and collaborate with your people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Toni. Dr. A?
I'd like to stress a point during Tony's presentation on active listening. 5 yung binanggit niya doon eh. And one of them is surveys. So that's one way na anonymous, diba? Anonymous yung information coming from the different employees. We conducted the same survey in terms of employee engagement 2 months ago lang. At lumabas doon, especially during these times of pandemic, they want more dialogue. They want more conversations. Kasi ngayon, conversations, siyempre pag ganito pandemic, ano na yung business results natin? Anong ginagawa nyo? Ano yung status ng mga programa? Ganyan.
Correct.
And then with the recent survey that we want, bigyan mo naman time for us to talk about ourselves. Okay? It's really more of handing that mental state, kumustahin natin sila, may pinagdadaanan ba sila, namatayan ba sila, or infected yung family nila, how are they coping up, what are they doing, what support can we give. Maganda sinabi dito kanina, minsan, let's set a meeting, let's not talk about work, let's talk about ourselves. Where are we now? What keeps us from performing, or what makes us happy, what makes us down, and let's work on. Tulungan tayo in the way we do things. Part of our corporate values is really teamwork. Talagang tulungan, bayanihan. Yung effective na nga yung community pantry eh. Lahat nagtutulong-tulong, donations yan sa mga kapwa empleyado for other employees as well. Active listening, yung tulungan, bayanihan. This is really one way to build that culture, and one way to really bring to life all of these things that will make the workplace a better and safe place to be in.
Okay, thank you, Tony and Dr. A. Now, Clarence, I hope that the inputs answered your question. It's really talking to each other, even chika moment lang, it's no topic conversation. The powerful, kamusta ka na? Diba? How are you? That seems to be important, more important these days than any other day that we've seen in our life. Okay, so we've already gotten to the end of our 40-second virtual learning series. Time flies fast. 2 hours, guys. Imagine. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, speakers, for those wonderful inputs. I will plot it on my schedule now.
Great.
Very good, Clarence. And that's what makes us happy when we do the PR. When you come back to us and tell us how you're going to make this alive. All the insights we're getting. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Tony and Dr. A. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask you to give us your last thoughts. 2 sentences. What do you, as we enter season 1 of level 4, what are your thoughts? Dr. A first, and then we end with Tony. Okay.
Well, as we enter season 1 of Alert Level 4, let's take care of each other. And that will reflect on both the leaders and employees. Bayanihan tayo. Let's make sure everyone is safe. Kumustahan natin sila. If someone is having difficulty, let's help each other out. And of course, continuous dialogue. This alone will contribute a lot to creating a great workplace, and definitely a good culture. And people will feel they are cared for, naalagaan sila, as you know, and kakalat yan. How employers take care of their employees. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Dr. A. Virtual Hub. Okay. Tony.
I think I spoke so much about great place to work, how looking after your people, and totally, all of those sense too. But my last thought message is that take care of yourself, right? Like, as a leader, you cannot give what you do not have. So I don't know how many seasons, levels, ECQ, whatever are gonna happen. Yeah, we're all hoping for the best, but we can only do as much. And the first thing you need to do before you can even take care of your people is to take care of yourself. Taking care of your people will require so much from you, and you won't be able to do that if ikaw mismo, as a person, you're not looked after. So be kind to yourself, give yourself that mental break. Take care of yourself.
Self-care.
Self-care. That's right.
Tony, Virtual Hub.
Virtual Hub.
I'm seeing a lot of thank yous. I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, please answer our survey. Please take time to answer our survey. Give us feedback so we can help you better and find insightful speakers like Tony and Dr. A. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Dr. A. I think we have a virtual certificate of appreciation. Otherwise, it would have been a cake and a hug. Okay. But today we have a certificate of appreciation presented to Antoniette Mendoza-Talosig, Managing Partner, Great Place to Work Philippines, and Lead Consultant, Great Place to Work Singapore, for sharing your invaluable time and expertise as speaker to the 42nd PRA Virtual Learning Series on Elevate Your Employee Brand to Attract and Retain Talents, held on the 15th of September via Zoom, the new way to go. All right. We also have one for...
Thank you so much.
We also have one for Dr. Oh, I like the caricatures.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. Thank you.
This is nice. So thank you for your time, Dr. To. Same certificate of appreciation. We thank you for your valuable time and expertise. And it's really the sharing, which is important for us in the PRA virtual learning session. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, our friends in the industry. Let me extend also, aside from our speakers today, let me extend our thanks to our partnership with Great Place to Work Philippines, the global authority on workplace culture, and our sponsors, Globe Business, which is the Narcissus Premium Platinum sponsor. There's Basava Consultancy, also from Narcissus as our official IT consultant, and the Philippine Star, the Narcissus official newspaper in making this thought leadership possible. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please, you heard Tony, you heard Dr. A, please, this one, please download it. I'm telling you, I had a fun time reading it over the past 2 days. There it is, the QR code. I give you 10 seconds again to download it. Okay. All right, 10 seconds, 10 seconds done. Thank you. And before I say goodbye, let me invite everyone to register for our Thought Leadership, our 13th Thought Leadership series, co-presented by Pioneer. There we go. Oh, that's a very interesting e-commerce. Okay, this is the pivot. Okay, that retailers, right, Dr. A? This is the pivot. I know you've been in the forefront of this, your group. And for more registration or details, please like us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, or visit our website. And this concludes our 42nd PRA Virtual Learning Series. This is Jesena of the Shangri-La Plaza Corporation, wishing you all a good afternoon, and let's all walk together into season 1 of Level 4. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you.
Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Dr. A. Thank you.
What makes a great place to work? A good place to work offers all the coffee you can drink. A great place to work is where you can share a coffee moment with your colleagues. A good place to work tells you all about their culture. A great place to work lets you co-create it. A good place to work has diversity policies. A great place to work makes you feel you belong. A good place to work puts the customer first. A great place to work puts its people first. A good place to work provides medical benefits. A great place to work supports and cares for your whole self. A good place to work has managers who acknowledge your achievements. A great place to work has leaders who have your back. A good place to work gives you a job description and competitive pay. A great place to work is where you find meaning and purpose. A good place to work produces good results for the company. A great place to work brings out the greatness in you. So why settle for good when you can go for great?